I think I'll just run through until we can get the display up. I'll tell you about a little event that I had over the weekend. You guys heard of iHeartMedia? Pretty big company. They had an event in Los Angeles this weekend, 68,000 people coming to see an event called Wango Tango with Justin Bieber, Kanye West, Ryan Seacrest, you know, the A-list of A-list. So Friday I get there to do the walkthrough. They were going to be using our gear to stream the event and also to stream the red carpet. So Friday, walk through the place, tell them I got 2 requirements, not big requirements. I just need an Ethernet drop at the red carpet and an Ethernet drop at the switcher, you know, where we're going to be streaming the event. All's good. Finish. Go home. Come back to Saturday. I'm driving out to the location. About an hour before the event, I get a call frantically from the cameraman looking for the Ethernet drop at the red carpet. There is no Ethernet drop at the red carpet. This is not a small event. This is, you know, there's no excuse here. You have to have an Ethernet drop. Anyhow, luckily for me, I had a backup plan. At Teradek, we make a number of encoders. I don't know if you're familiar with us, but we have an encoder, a very small encoder. This guy that takes in an HDSDI feed, encodes it over Ethernet or Wi-Fi, pushes it to a CDN. This is what we plan to use for Wango Tango. Problem is, no Ethernet there. Luckily for me, I've done this before. How many times have you guys got to places where you've plugged in the Ethernet and a port's been blocked, or you didn't get the bandwidth that you needed? I mean, this seems to happen to me all the time. I did an event last Christmas for the Olympic team, and I got to the event, and we had written out a document that said we needed 5 megabits per second, and then, again, an Ethernet drop. And I meet the guy that gives me the Ethernet drop. I plug it into my cube. I press go live, nothing. I check my encoder. Everything looks good in my encoder. I'm double checking because I can stream to my iPad through a cube whilst encoding. I'm pushing out. I'm double checking on my iPad that I'm seeing my feed. Everything looks good. I start to sweat buckets. Run back to my hotel. I grab my bond, right? This guy. And this is my backup plan, because in this I can plug in cellular connections, and I aggregated 4 cellular connections to get that stream out at this event. The point is that I can also aggregate the Ethernet connection that I was given. So I plug in the Ethernet connection, and I can see that I've got no packets going out of the Ethernet connection. So I phone up the IT guy. He comes back. He says, "Oh, man, I'm sorry. I gave you the wrong gateway." I could have killed him, right? I mean, this is just the luck I have. So I get the right gateway connection. I start pushing out and aggregating. Here's a picture of the Sputnik that shows me how I'm aggregating. Right? This shows me what I'm getting out of all of my connections. And I'm seeing that out of the first connection, which was my Ethernet connection, I was getting 500 kilobits per second. I phone up the IT guy, and I'm like, "Dude, I asked for 5 megs here." He said, "Really?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Well, look, let me fax you back or email you back the work order that the woman from the Olympic Committee had sent her. She had missed a 0. It wasn't 5 megs, it was 500 kilobits. So that, that's, these are I'm sure you've all experienced these kinds of things. So same thing happened on Saturday. I get to the event, no Ethernet drop. Luckily, I pull out my bond, I plug in my modem, and we start streaming. Everyone's happy. The point is you know, what is your backup plan when you go to do an event? You know, how are you going to guarantee that nothing is going to stop you getting paid for the job that you want to get paid for, right? This is, you know, a really touchy subject, especially for one when we're trying to build a business out of this kind of thing. One of the downsides, however, of using the bonded device is that you have to subscribe to the modems, right? And depending on how often you're doing the event, you know, sometimes it's quite costly to subscribe to 6 modems and have those on a monthly bill. We are releasing something, and we're actually showing it for the first time here at Streaming Media, that really turns bonded on its head. If you come over to our stand, we'll show you what we think will be the future of bonding and the future of backing yourselves up. We've created an encoder, very similar in size to the Cube, called the Video Pro, that has some magic sauce inside. We have developed a free app that you download on your iPhone. When you open up this app, my encoder will find who has that app open and bond it with all the others that have that app open. This means that you can go to an event, open up the app on your phone, get a couple of buddies to open up the app on their phone, or even take a couple of phones with you, and now aggregate across people's cell phones. At Teradek, we're all about trying to give you solutions to improve what you do. We offer also a cloud service that allows us to... Oh, lost the screen again. It was good while we had it. I'm banging. Anyhow. Come by the stand and we'll show you some of the guts behind the back end of what we do. It's very important that, again, you as professionals are able to show whether you're losing packets, what bitrate you're sending, being able to record in the cloud, being able to send to multiple CDNs at the same time, being able to push to decoders at the same time so you can send to TV stations, websites, you know, and have these tools that you as providers of a business can support. We have been doing this for about 5 years now. We are used from events such as Wango Tango down to churches, down to high schools. Our products range from $400 up to $5,000. We have really brought streaming into a world that is really possible for everybody. Don't worry about my laptop. It's only a bunch of slides. People get bored. Anyhow, I'm not sure how much longer I have. If there are any questions that I can help answer, or you know, if there are any requests or demands that you guys as business owners see that we need to do. Okay. How many of you guys do multi-channel or multi-camera shoots? And you use TriCasters or switches, right? Something you also should have a look at is the switcher that we've developed on an iPad. This will allow iPhones and our encoders to stream to an iPad, do all the switching locally on the iPad, and then push out to a CDN. We're finding that multi-camera shoots are becoming more and more popular. So that's something else that we've just released. Let's run through. Okay, what happened now?
Still couldn't get it to come back up either.
All right. I was going to show you some photos of Saturday of Mr. Bieber on the Bond. It was quite funny. Yes?
So in what scenario would you suggest somebody to use the iPad app versus something else?
The iPad app is $99. It's a backup solution to a hardware switcher, right? We just want to give you guys tools and other options and other ways of being creative. It's even useful for a single encoder, because within the app we can add graphics, chroma keys, bumpers, music, so you can add some production value to a single stream, right? So I suggest you can actually download a free version and try it and play with it. It's called iPad. It's called AirPlay. Live Air. Thank you. Had too many coffees this morning. Yes.
The encoder with the free app, like what kind of quality are you able to push out if you had to revert to that backup?
We're pushing out 5 megabits per second. At 5 megabits per second, we're doing, well, I'll tell you actually, many TV stations use our gear. They are using our bonded solution for doing ENG news, right? And quite typically, they're doing 720p at 3.5 megabits per second. The encoder itself is set to go up to 5 megs. We have never been criticized with the quality that we create out of our encoder. We are an encoder company. We do not make PCs or anything else, or cards. We came out of the military for about 5 years ago. 7 years ago, we were owned by GE, part of a military department to create a very low power, very high quality encoding chip. So that's what we are, right? And over the last 5 years, we have delivered about 19,000 encoders. So we have a lot of experience in encoding. Have I put you all to sleep? Yes.
Can you talk about, I mean, you are using basically Wi-Fi or RF
Mm-hmm.
in your mobile encoder, because that's what's available.
Right.
We talked about, in other sessions, in the industry overall, we talked about H.264, H.265,
Mm-hmm.
HEVC.
Mm-hmm.
And how soon you see, and obviously HEVC is going to be very useful over Wi-Fi to
Mm-hmm.
extend the range or increase the quality. How do you see that play? In your product?
I would say that I see H.265 being widely available probably a year or so away. And then the question is, what are we going to do first? Are we going to do 4K first, or H.265 first, or do we do a 4K and H.265? You know, these are all the questions that people are now asking us to come up with answers for. I had an interesting conversation with Twitch. Anyone here from Twitch yesterday? I mean, they use our cubes. They're the third largest aggregator of streaming content, and we were talking about the movement from H.264 to 265, and they actually told me that will increase their load rather than decrease their load, because they're going to have to send everything in 264 and 265 for the foreseeable future. So
Here I was talking about also local set.
on the set,
Yeah, because that's where you have multiple streams for you were talking about multiple cameras.
right.
And you need to aggregate so that you have in your iPad or in a
Right.
software like Wirecast to be able to get those different streams. And maybe having H.265 would help. If it's mostly Wi-Fi.
That's true. I mean, the workflow that I would recommend for using the iPad app is having a router on set, so that the cubes or the videos are Wi-Fiing to the router, and the iPad is Wi-Fiing to the router. It's not acting as an ad hoc network. And eventually, 265 will give us 30% savings, we assume.